John, I just got done listening to your message that you delivered at your parents' church last weekend. It was amazing. It was very, very good. I enjoyed it thoroughly, and it actually made me remember a passage that I was listening to in the Gospel of Mark last week. In fact, when we were going through the Gospels right now, and I just wanted you to listen to this real quick, just be a minute, from the audio Word of Promise Bible, and you'll see what I mean.
Take heed, watch, and pray, for you do not know when the time is. It is like a man going to a far country, who left his house and gave authority to his servants, and to each his work, and commanded the doorkeeper to watch. Watch, therefore, for you do not know when the master of the house is coming, in the evening, at midnight, at the crowing of the rooster, or in the morning, lest, coming suddenly, he find you sleeping. And what I say to you, I say to all, watch.
Amazing. And so true. I'm going to keep listening and keep watching to hear what it is he wants to teach me and instruct in me. I like you, John. I love instruction. I love learning about the Word, but not necessarily learning about what I need to change or correction. You know, the correction and reproof and all those things can be difficult, but that's what it's about, because he's making us more like him. Anyway, amazing message. Definitely Holy Spirit inspired, and I loved it. I'm sure I'll have talked to you on the phone about it by then. We are in John chapter 2, the Gospel of John chapter 4. Sorry, not chapter 2. That was the wedding. Why do I want to talk about weddings? I want to talk about chapter 4, which is actually the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman. See, Jesus knew the Pharisees were out to get him. So he left Judea and went to Galilee. And it says he had to pass through Samaria. It was like the quickest way, right? He didn't have to pass through Samaria. He had to pass through Samaria because he knew the woman would be at the well in the middle of the day, which is not normal. Usually you go get water really early or in the evening, not in the middle of the hot day. She was probably doing that because she had a reputation in town for having a lot of husbands and a lot of men that she was around all the time, or such and such. So she had to do it when nobody else was around, to tease her, to make fun of her, or whatever. So Jesus makes a divine appointment with her, and that's what the book of John is really said about, is so many divine appointments. The entire Bible is full of divine intervention into our lives. I'm thinking a lot about what we have to give on the altar, Abraham's altar. You know, when he sacrificed Isaac, and he was gonna kill Isaac because that's what God told him to do, and God intervened in that moment. And then yesterday, my friend Pastor Don Kaysen called me up out of the blue and said, "Hey, I was looking in the youth building and I found this tape that you made, years ago, that I made when I was in college. And John, you helped me with that. Was me, pretending to be Abraham and Isaac and doing the whole sacrifice, like the little play that we did, and attached to the sermon that I talked about sacrifice and understanding what it means to lay something down before God so he can take it. And if he desires to give it back to you, he will. A lot of times he'll take things from us we're not ready for it yet, or he'll have something better for us. And that's what I've been learning a lot lately. In the Word and in life, and circumstances cannot allow us to forget our job is to get into the Word. And I love the chapter 4, because there's just so much there. It's hard to go into it all. I mean, you had the woman, and Jesus had sent the disciples into the city to go get food. So he's there, which is not really, he's a Jewish man and she's a Samaritan woman. They shouldn't have been talking to each other according to the rest of the society culture around them. And Jesus says, "Give me a drink." She says, that you don't have anything to get a drink with, and you're asking for a drink, and he says, if you knew the gift of God and who it was who was asking you to give you a drink, you would have asked him and he would have given you living water. Because he is the living water. They who drink of the water I give will never thirst again. And they have this whole discussion about the Messiah and about where they believed worship was supposed to take place. And Jesus says there'll be a time when God is spirit, and those who worship him worship in spirit and in truth. It's very important that she recognized her weaknesses. She knew where she was at. She couldn't fake it with God. She was just real. She was being real. And she says, I know the Messiah is coming. And he says, I who speak to you am he. I love that. It's a divine appointment at that moment. And she goes into the city and tells everybody about Jesus, and they all come running. And they hear about his works and his miracles and who he is as Messiah. And then the people are like, we believe now, not because of what the Samaritan woman told us, but because we heard it ourselves. We spent time with Jesus ourselves. Jesus goes on to talk about reaping and sowing, and I sent you to reap for which you have not labored, and basically talking about how we all have a job. Some of us are laborers in different ways, but we're all ministers of his word, and all meant to share his love with people. He goes on to Cana of Galilee, where a lot of people didn't believe in him. And there's this man, this royal official comes to him about his sick son in Capernaum, okay? Now, Cana and Capernaum is not very far to walk in between those two cities. But Jesus says, he says, okay, he tells the royal official, go, your son lives. And the official believes it. In fact, he doesn't even go home right away. Because it says the next day, he runs into one of his servants, and the servant says, yesterday at this hour, the fever left your son. And it says the royal official knew that it was at that moment when he was talking to Jesus that his son was well. It wasn't just coincidence or happenstance. God has authority over the spiritual forces of darkness. He is on our side. The battle is the Lord's. He is fighting for us. We all make mistakes. We all fall and stumble. And we'll get into chapter 8 and read about the woman that was condemned and everyone was trying to throw rocks at her. And he says, no. Who here has no sin, cast the first stone. We'll get to that. But it says at the end of chapter 4, this is a second sign that Jesus performed when he was coming out of Judea into Galilee. Chapter 4 is all I've got time for in this video. So yes, watch, and listen. Thank you, my friend, for sharing the word. Continue to do so. It's awesome stuff.